This is Breakout by Atari, 1976. This actually is one of the closest simulations of the actual game that I could find. This is the dice emulator. This one's a logic board only, so you can't emulate it. There was no microprocessor to emulate, but they've tried to recreate it here as best possible, so we're just going to give the game of Breakout a shot. And I tell you, it's not as easy probably as it was with those very responsive paddle controllers. You know, you have to use a mouse these days unless you track down an original or somehow hook up your own paddle controller. Oh, that was cheap. I thought I had that one. I don't know how it slipped through, but that again is probably an emulation or a simulation issue. Alright, it seems like it goes beyond the white border a little. So if you go to the edge of the screen, you gotta be careful. It's gonna, yeah. It doesn't bounce off the white, it goes all the way to the edge of the white on the sides, so you gotta be careful. But yeah, this is pretty much how the original Breakout looked, as far as I can tell from some of the original YouTube videos and things that I've seen. As you can tell, this is a variation of Pong, but something Steve Wozniak did, which was brilliant, is flipped it on its side and made it a single-player game. Let you break down bricks instead of just bouncing between two paddles. Create a whole new take on it. It became very popular. It was an excellent, successful hit in the arcades. Also went on to spawn many different kinds of sequels down the road. One of the most popular was called Arkanoid, much later on. So I'm seeing if I can... Oh, that was close. I'm trying to break through to the top, get a few extra bricks, but you can see it speeds up as you do well. Part of the original programming. Ah, that was close. Last ball. Only 3 balls. It's a very challenging game. And as far as I can understand, the original only had 2 screens to clear. So if you actually made it all the way through this screen, you'd get one more set of bricks. And if you made it through that one, it would just sit there. That was it. Game over. So you beat the game at that point. I don't think I'm going to try and beat the game on this one. I know I'm the game stomper, but since this isn't the real Breakout, I don't feel like it ever would be a true beating of the game. So 122 on a first attempt. Maybe I'll go one more. See if we can do a little bit better now that we know about that little glitch on the side, and also getting a little bit of a feel for the controls here. So, but yeah, the 2 screens meant for a general max score of a certain amount. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it was a maximum score you could get for clearing both screens completely. There was one extra trick, which was starting a second player game just as the first player game was finishing up the bricks. And somehow the way you could trick it if you did the right timing of sequences was the single player, or the original first player, would get a 3rd set of bricks, which actually increased the potential high score just a little bit. Like most of these games, it's helpful to predict where the ball's going more than just react to it. Of course, there are a few things to get in the way, so it's a little bit easier than, say, Arkanoid or something that came along later with additional elements on screen that would get in the way of the ball and mess you up. I'm going to try and break through. The whole idea of this game is to break through. Oh, so close, so close. And a little twitch of the mouse off and it's gone. Gone. 1 life down. I'd like to see if I could at least clear 1 board. But again, it's quite sensitive, mouse driven. Busting away at this side, but I'm almost too nervous. It's fun though, you know. This was a very smart game, and of course the other story behind Breakout is the whole Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak conglomeration, and how the dang, now I got to play one more game to tell the story. Last game, folks. One more time. Still haven't broke through, which is kind of like the object. So you can bounce around up there, get extra points. without having to worry too much. But the story goes with Breakout, and I'm sure you've probably heard it if you've ever been into video game history at all, but they were paying bonuses at Atari for reducing the amount of chips in designing a video game. And Steve Wozniak spent 4 days straight coming up with this Breakout game in an extremely elegant and tight design, bringing the number of chips down to somewhere around 42 when an average game was shipping with about 100 chips. And so they got a bonus of about $7,000. However, Steve Jobs told the Wozniak that it was a bonus of $700 and paid him his half of $350, pocketing the rest of the amount. So it's a pretty brutal story about Jobs. It's mostly true. So I don't know if the amounts are exact, but you know, both Wozniak and Jobs went on to do many great things together with the Apple company, so not all bad. However, it did hurt Woz's feelings when he heard that story later on, because he would have been happy if he had just been told the truth, and if Jobs had asked him for the money, probably would have given it to him. I'm going to concentrate a little, see if I can't get this thing to finally break through to the top. Man, my mouse twitched. Okay, it was my wrist. The trick is, once it hits those red bricks, it's booking, and it's hard to predict exactly where to go every time. Okay, come on, keep it on this side. Let's break through. And there we go. That's Breakout right there. And there's your key to the game. Oh! Did you see that last second? Once you break through, your paddle even shrinks further. So it's a challenging game. 199 there is my best score. It's not even close to the highest score you can get. So I'm not a professional Breakout player, but that's a hopefully that gave you a pretty good example of the game itself and what it was all about. And there we go. I'm a shrunken paddle. That really makes it tricky. It's a tiny little thing. Almost got one set cleared. Oh, my goodness. There's just not much you can do when you're so small. I'm going to try and keep... No, I didn't want it to go above. Shoot. Now I'm small again. And it's going fast, and that's all you can say. Well, hey, I almost cleared one level. That's one hard game, no matter... I can see why people played it a bunch of times in the arcade, and it did really well. Because it's fun, it's fast-paced, it presents quite a challenge, and yet, you know, I played it for a little while here, and I got better at it. I'm at 419, my high score. So I can see with a really good controller in the arcade, you know, you could develop the skill to pass both boards and, quote, beat the game, and it's a great game. Good successful hit from Atari in 1976. Breakout.